The next question I wanted to talk about was grief. Because you were in a unique situation where you were kind of grieving while she was still alive, I imagine. And then it's a whole different deep grief when she's actually gone.
Yeah.
So can you share, I guess, any insights or advice or anecdotes about that process that could help someone going through something similar?
Yeah, I think that, a terminal diagnosis is an interesting time period, and it's very specific because we're given this gift of time, but it doesn't feel like a gift. But I definitely, and then like for Gwendolyn, for something like SMA, where there's very serious medical challenges along the way. So, I mean, there were points of her life where we were saving her life almost every day. And it would be as simple as she choked on her own saliva. And then we'd have to figure out how to just carry on. So we would be traumatized and then like, okay, let's go. So you learn kind of how to numb, which isn't always great. And then there's, anticipatory grief. So there were definitely nights where I dreamt about losing her and, and periods, and you literally, your body literally like starts to try and prepare you. And all of that can paralyze you, can prevent you from venturing out, from living. And so that was one of the things that, literally while she was having a surgery, I called a therapist and I was like, okay, we need it.
Yeah.
Because it was literally, it was like, if I don't get therapy now, when do you get it? Mm-hmm. And so it was like, okay, these are our scenarios, our limitations. We can't leave her alone. So this therapist came to our home, and we would have her on a baby monitor and literally like a hands away. And we started talking through some of this stuff. So already starting to work on the grief. And that was huge because it helped give me tools. I think, tools I did not have with my mom. My dad's British. We had a lot of stiff upper lip.
I was wondering where rubbish came from. You said rubbish. I was like, is she British?
Yeah. There was some great resilience in there.
Yeah.
But I think that also left me just like a mess, not knowing how to truly live with grief. Mm-hmm. And so, I took that self-help, basically. How can I help myself be better than last time? How can I learn from last time? And so I started doing that literally from, the moment she was diagnosed. And that continued. There were times where things would come up where we would hit a rough patch. And that's when I knew I needed to dig into a new thing I hadn't really pushed on myself. And I think every time I dug a little more in my own self-discovery, it helped me let go and really just be less afraid of the dark, less afraid of grief itself, and realize that is part of life. And then, I read a lot of other, unfortunately, where we were, I attended more funerals than I did weddings and baby showers because of the disease. And so
because you were surrounded by
I was surrounded by SMA or other rare diseases, and so there was just constant child loss. Oh my gosh. And I instead of blocking that out and trying to pretend that's not going to happen, I found I absorbed everything. And it was usually the women, although there were a few men that did it, but usually the mothers would share, and it was gut-wrenching. But I learned so much from each of them, and they really helped pave my way. And so when I did lose Gwendolyn, one of the very first things I told myself is, I'm going to grieve deeply because I loved deeply, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. You can, and I think especially society, I had another child, so I think, there are sometimes this pressure of you have to pretend, and I thought, no, we're not going to pretend. We're not going to, I don't think this is going to traumatize my child to see me cry. That's human.
Yeah.
And if, what a lesson that all emotions are okay. And guess what? She's one of the most,
emotional quotient, high
yes,
EQ.
she does.
Yeah.
She has high EQ.
Yeah.
But I think, that's for anyone who's going through it. It is hard work, but it is also a beautiful process. And it's a way, I think, anytime I start to struggle with grief, and I try new different healing modalities, and I'm a big fan of that. Try things, even if it seems not you, try it once. And then if it doesn't work, try something else, and just keep, trying these different things. There's nothing that is going to snap you out of missing your child. But I think that each thing we learn some tools in how to release some of the grief. And then just one more thing I will say on it is the part of the grief or the gift of grieving during Gwendolyn's life is I really learned about the grace that you can be laughing and devastated all in the same moment. Those are not opposites. From the moment we were hospitalized with this diagnosis that we would lose her, we were also cherishing every sweet little chubby thigh roll and painting her little baby toes. And, it was like all in one breath. And they weren't I'll do this and then this. It was all together. And that's life. Yeah. We are bigger than the boxes we try and put ourselves in. And that's also one of the things that gave me a lot of, I think, helped me once I did lose her, because I knew I could still laugh at my little middle child and enjoy life and the beauty of childhood, or the sunsets, or the fresh air and my ability to breathe deeply, and what a gift that is, while also so sad and missing my daughter.
Yeah, it's not black and white, our human experience and spectrum of emotions. And yeah, I think that hopefully all of these experiences, and just me and the journey that I'm on, it's like just in the last few years, like just even being able to name, as I'm consciously or attempting to consciously parent my child, and like learning that, they just need to be seen and validated. And so to start naming their feelings to help them define what they're actually feeling. We didn't get that growing up, and our parents didn't get it, their parents didn't get it. So we've never really been taught as a society how to feel. Of course, a few people have had enlightened childhoods or enlightened parents, but even like 3 years ago, I was in the shower and I was just verklempt with emotion, if that's the right term. And I'm like, what do I even feel? I don't know if it was frustration, anger, rage, sadness, devastation. Like, I couldn't even name what I was feeling as an adult. And so, just to go through that process and to be able to teach, your other two children how to feel, and feeling is okay. And it's not, mutually exclusive. It's like it can be all at once, and that's the beauty, and I think the purpose of being human. And so much of our society today is to escape feeling or shut down feeling. And so I'm just like sitting here like crying the whole interview, and I'm like, but this is the beauty of being human, is to feel, and of course you don't want it to be a freight train taking you away in a, puddle on the floor and you can't function in life. But that's the beauty of growth and transformation, and being in the fire and feeling it all, and not having to have it together all the time.
And I think when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable to that, like to the feeling it all and then feeling like, oh, I'm such a mess, right? When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, it really allows us to see others and our shared humanity. And that is actually really the essence of, I think, the goal.
Thank you for listening to the Heal Podcast. Be sure to tune in every Thursday for more empowering wisdom and inspiring healing stories. And make sure you hit the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss that one episode that holds the answer you've been searching for. And please rate and review us so that we can grow and reach more people. Thanks so much, and be well.